Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Im letzten Part haben wir den ersten Verhandlungstag gut überstanden und wir müssen nun weitere Ermittlungen anstellen. We made it back in one piece, just... To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There were so many carriages on the streets of London, you were very nearly flattened several times. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. Thank you. And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can find some new clue for court tomorrow. Yes, let's do that. Is everything alright? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in England, working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma. It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him. Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I have no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us. Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding out that he's actually a barface gat thief as well. Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san's poisoning the tea. Careful of your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to this, Mr. Shamespeare, and we yet know, I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamespeare certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? He was told that he would be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Oh, which one is that? Let me see. He said Saint Bartholomew's, or Bart's, as Londoners call it. We know that place, don't we? Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which he was taken. Ah, yes, after Soseki-san stabbed her in the back. Be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone. Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. Saint Bartholomew's. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. So, we know that Soseki-san took tea to the victim on the night in question, but as he isn't the culprit, then obviously... Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea. But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamespeare's body? I'm sure we will find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamespeare's room that will help solve the mystery. Well, naturally, Scotland Yard detectives have been over the place already, but it couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of soap. Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we could ask him about that. Kazuma Asogi, the best friend I ever had, and the lawyer with such promise. You really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough, I'm sure. No one will know. Kazuma Won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial, that you really ought to go into law, be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it, believe me, I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously, you will have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world, the city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no, never mind. Naruhodo-san? Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about Kazuma. Yes, he's forever in my thoughts too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course. Yes, that's right, but... I do wonder if his true intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know, the thought just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all. Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions? I mean this. It's katana? I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma passed away, of course. No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it. When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage. Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Karuma? No, Karuma. That's right, it's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Sogi clan. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me, I truly believe that. So, its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. Oh, that subject... There's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? I would appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I will see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. What did he mean by something very important that I have to do? I had hoped that the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here, but as yet I have not found a single clue. Okay, dann würde ich sagen, machen wir uns auf den Weg wir können mal bei Sholmes vorbeischauen. Einfach nur um zu gucken, ob Iris vielleicht da ist oder Sholmes selbst.
Oh, Runo and Susie, hooray, you're back!
Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am, and you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. You flatter me.
Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've just made a pot of tea. I will set some cups.
Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what is that foul smell? The Wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been? We've been in court. For Mr. Mustache case. That was today, was it?
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We've managed to escape without a guilty verdict at least. Really? I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of the day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long. Is Lord von Zieg's an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still.
Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor?
Yes, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science.
Oh dear.
Alright, I will bite. What's he up to now? Lord Barak van Zieks. Yes, it's an interesting topic here. Yeah. He has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later, the hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to sudden fever, or quite out of the blue being set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mercius is fighting fit. For the time being, at least. That's not overly reassuring.
If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord von Zieks' own hand.
That's what happens, Mr. Zato. That is quite impossible.
Why?
Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast-iron alibi. Alibi. And so his reign continued, but 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into the trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection, and really did end bitterly indeed. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again.
Poor Runo, I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky or incredibly unlikable.
I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. So, what is that indescribably foul smell? Well, most probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea. There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but it is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris?
They're ready, Hurley.
Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens? It's turned completely black.
And what a foul odor it's giving off.
Indeed, the blacker the tea becomes, the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling. That's very ingenious. But what do you do with that black liquid now? Why, dispose of it naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes.
Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is, we are entertaining a new era of science. The point is, we are entering a new era of science in the world of criminal investigation also.
Yes, forensic science. Ah, these are such exciting times.
I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little tea indie can was a happy by-product of my ongoing forensic science research. I suppose I should find out more about that. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Miss Susato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord von Ziek seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese. Indeed, it is an interesting observation. Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes? It was about 10 years ago the Baroque von Zieks chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan. Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair. Oh, but... The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. So, your T-test, is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether the tea is of high or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases then. Perhaps a more practical example is required: fingerprints. Not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Really, we're dragging our heels there. I hadn't even heard of them until recently. Which is partly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course. Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes? There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I'm researching is skin prints. Skin prints? A nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation. Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes. As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues. That's the spirit, Runo. See you later. Yes, until later. No, Mr. Sholmes, we were thinking you would come with us. You were? Yes, of course. You said just a moment ago, you said we would witness your forensic talents in action. Ah yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later, in all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Your commitment astounds me. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We will eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye-bye, Susie. Okay, gut. Dann ist unser nächster Zielort also der Tatort, würde ich mal sagen. Gucken wir uns da nochmal genauer um. Aber bevor wir dorthin gehen, gibt es hier erstmal einen Cut. Ich bedanke mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen. Hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao.